Arch Manning has opted out of the EA Sports college football game. Kudos, Arch Manning. The Manning family is bigger than the video game. They can put some white animated AI dude out there to run around and sit on the bench and do what he needs to do. But Arch Manning, you're bigger than EA Sports, and good for you of opting out of that and demanding more money to be in the game. The Mannings are bigger. The Manning cast is bigger. Good for you, Arch Manning. Why should you just take what EA Sports is willing to give, which is roughly $600? That is a mere pittance to you. I've been told that the Manning family gives $600 a day just to their butler. I don't know that to be the case, but that's what I heard. Joking about that. $600 is nothing to Arch Manning. Good for him for opting out. What do you say, Caleb?
No, I have a huge problem with it. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. And this actually kind of angers me because this is Arch Manning trying to pretend he's above everybody else with this. Like, I don't need the $600. How about just for the guys who want to play the game, who want to play with your name? It's not about the $600. This is Arch Manning. I'm going to say it, and someone has to say it. This is Arch Manning virtue signaling. This is Arch Manning virtue signaling because he said, I want to be all about football, and I don't want to be about this. How much extra work are you doing to opt into this game? Okay?
Your thoughts on the message board. Do you agree with me or Caleb? Now, what is virtue signaling? Can you clear that up for me? Because I'm not sure that I know.
Virtue signaling is taking a stance not for the purpose of affecting change or affecting anything in real life, but for the purpose of making yourself look good. Okay? So, like...
No. Okay. I think this is... Okay, I don't think this is that.
It's virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. Go ahead and explain why. Go ahead and explain why.
Financial move. I think he said, no, I want... Listen, so there's the $600. Now, a lot of football players, if you're watching football and you play for an SEC school and you're an average player, like let's say a backup right guard, okay, you got your $600 for EA Sports. Don't ask for any more. They're not going to give you any more. But I know for a fact that some players got more. Okay, I can't tell you how I know that, but I know that. So I think Arch Manning was in a very quiet negotiation to get more money, and they didn't give it to him. So they said completely stepped off.
Yeah, but that's, again, how much money is this game supposed to give out before they end up like, they won't be able to make a profit? They got to pay everybody. I mean, this is kind of a union effect. I know they're not unionized, but this is like, we're going to give everybody a flat rate. Some players aren't worth the $600. Some players are. I'm the one who said a few weeks ago, Tennessee should opt out for more money themselves as a program. I don't think this is about money for Arch. I think this is about Arch. This is the same reason he said he wasn't accepting NIL last year, okay? He said he's doing this to focus on the field. He wants attention for focusing and working hard. Spare me. I can't stand it when people fake virtue signal like that, okay? It drives me crazy. Johnny Manziel virtue signaled yesterday with, I'm not going to go take part in Heisman stuff. He knows that's not going to make a difference. He just wants the credit for doing something that seems like the moral stance, okay? He's just saying that. Arch Manning is doing the same thing here. He is just saying this because he wants the attention for saying it, and he wants the credit for saying it. And it's annoying when people do that. It's like when people it's like saying, I don't want to be on the Madden cover because I've got to focus on football, as if that takes extra work to be on the Madden cover.
I'll back you for that. His retort to me didn't carry a lot of water. To be in the NCAA football game does not mean that you're going to suddenly have less focus on football. But business move wise, I think it was a good move. I think it'd be a great move for you to go to Ray Varner Ford there in Clinton.
Welcome to Ray Varner Ford in Clinton, where every turn meets new possibilities and every mile celebrates the cutting-edge innovation within our Ford lineup. Elevate your journey in this new 2023 F-150 4x4 Super Cab, $44,992. A 2023 Ford Escape all-wheel drive, $30,952. 2023 F-150 4x4 Super Crew XLT, $54,900. Local you trust, innovation you can afford. Ray Varner Ford, your East Tennessee Ford dealership.
So, with the Arch Manning thing, the irony is he's probably not worth $600. He's the backup quarterback. he's not worth $600, yet he wants more money. Caleb, is this a little bit silly on his behalf? If nothing else, let's take away the maybe virtue signaling and maybe taking the stance. And my view is it's more of a business decision. He's worth more than that. But is it kind of silly to do this?
Yes, it's silly. Quinn Ewers opted in. Nico Iamaleava opted in. I mean, players worth a lot more that are more high profile opted in. And I'm just going to say this. If this wasn't a Manning, we'd be way more critical. Look at the stuff we're saying about Caleb Williams right now, because Caleb Williams has shirked like every expected responsibility of an NFL draft prospect over the past year. Not wanting to do workouts at the combine. We have lit into him as analysts for that. And rightly so. He deserves all of it, right? And if we're going to do that, I'm willing to take on the Manning family on this, because I think this is just garbage that he's opting out of the game.
But let me ask you this. Will we look at this 2-3 years from now like we look at, oh my gosh, his name just escaped, Christian McCaffrey? Will we look at it, Christian McCaffrey skipped a bowl game when we thought it was just awful, and now it's commonplace? Will we look at this as elite players are going to negotiate whether or not they're in the game? There is no union in place like the NFLPA.
If the elite players negotiate whether or not they're in the game, there is no game and there's no money for anybody at that point. And so, I mean, they can take $600 or nothing, because the game, how much can the game pay out? I mean, how much money are they already paying to put these players' names? 6 million, 7 million, something like that. They got to make a profit selling the game, don't they?
The only reason that I think the game is going to happen is because John Madden passed away, and they probably don't have to pay him as much as they used to. Are they going to keep naming that the Madden game? I mean, that
probably goes to Madden's estate, whatever it is.
Okay.
They probably still have to pay Madden's estate for that name.
It does make you wonder why they suddenly had the funds available. Maybe it was just the push to have the game. But I think that more players are getting more money than you do. I think there are some players that are saying, I would really like to get closer to X amount instead of $600. So if that's the case and there's negotiations going on, I don't have as much of a problem with the Manning family taking this stance. But here's the problem I do have. I just think it's incredibly unpopular. You hinted to that earlier. PR has to be a factor in every decision. Now, that doesn't mean you make a decision to go to the Chargers instead of the Giants, which the Manning family took a hard stance on that. And
I don't blame them for that one. And I never have.
Okay. But there was a PR backlash of, hey, you look like a rich kid who wants to pick his NFL school. Why don't you appreciate what you have? Right? There was a PR backlash. This PR backlash to me is more significant than the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 of dollars you might have gotten from EA. The PR, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You've heard that term, right? To me, this isn't worth it to hold out to negatively affect your PR. Now, the Giants and Chargers, that's another topic.
That's a career move.
You should definitely take a stand and not worry about PR. This one, I think you worry about PR a little bit more, and doesn't sound like the Mannings have done that.
I think this is what's it called when you think about PR, but the move it backfires because you think it'll help your PR, but it hurts it.
I think wagging the tail, or the tail wagging the dog, tail wagging the dog.
Yeah, they did. See this. I don't think it was about money. As a matter of fact, Anwar Richardson from Rivals reported this initially. He said that Arch Manning will not opt in because he wants to focus on playing football. So this report is out there.
That's just, I've got to stop you there. That's a bunch of BS.
It is BS, but I think that's what the Manning family wants out there. I think that's what Peyton Manning is saying. His nephew is full of BS. I agree. I'm saying Arch is doing this to get out a narrative that he only wants to focus on football. And it's stupid.
Oh, I kind of get you now. It took me a second. I see where you're at, because football's not going very well for him. So now you want to make it look like a focus on football.
That's hot.
That's way different from where I thought you were going. You got me there. You got me there. I'm on board. I don't think it's just a money-making thing. At first, I thought because let's be honest, if Arch was a starter, if Arch was Caleb Williams going into last season, he would be worth way more than $600 on that video game, right?
He would. He
Especially
absolutely
with the
would.
name. Especially, I mean, he'd be worth arguably 7 digits to be on that game with the name. He's not going to get that. So, all right, I'm with you. Then they're virtue signaling. I learned what virtue signaling was, and I learned that I'm just going to agree with Caleb.
Just an example of virtue signaling, things like when people on political sides say, like, stop racism, or like, support our troops, or that stuff that they put on as bumper stickers on their car, a lot of times that's virtue signaling because it doesn't actually impact change. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you want to stop racism. Well, what are you doing to stop it? Or you want to support the troops? What are you doing to support the troops? You're just putting the bumper sticker on your car without actually taking a stand, without actually doing anything. That's virtue signaling, pretty much.
Okay. And how about this? And Caleb brings this point up. I'm not going to read his whole quote because it's a little incendiary. But how about the Manning family? Would it look too contrived if they said, we're going to take the $600 and donate it to our favorite charity?
How about just donate it? Don't even make a stand on it. Like, this is what bothers me. It's everything about this is just it's taking a fake stance, and it annoys me because, again, I'm doing this to focus on. Dave, what do you have to do? How does this impede you focusing on football being in the game? What, you have to open it? Like what do you have to do to
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't at all. So he just made this up, and it reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember this, but about 15 years ago, right after the Saints won the Super Bowl, Reggie Bush and Kim Kardashian broke up, and Reggie Bush was like, I'm breaking up to focus on football. No, y'all just broke up, and you're putting that out there, okay, for headlines to say you're breaking up with her to focus on football. Stop it, okay? You just broke up. If that was the case, why were you dating her to begin with? You just won a Super Bowl. Okay, so I don't like when people say that. Like, I'm doing this to focus on my craft. No, you're not. No, you're not. Like, it's not like, I'm sorry. That just drives me crazy. Arch, this isn't going to impede your ability to focus on football. I can't stand when people take these type of stances. And yeah, the Manning family's probably behind it. I can't imagine Arch is doing this on his own. And I think that this is, Dave, I wanted a little bit of your insight. That's why I wanted to do this segment today. Tell me some things you know about just how insanely out of their way the Mannings go to craft an image of themselves from a PR perspective.
I can tell you somebody that was in a golf tournament with them one time, and in the car, I'm not going to name who this was, but in the car, that there was actually a notebook pulled out of the people that Peyton, this is when Peyton was barely out of college, that Peyton needed to know that Arch Manning had pictures of them and their families, members. And so, to say, hey, Caleb, how's your son or your daughter Loella doing? So you would know all the names so you could sound more engaging. And yes, I do know that was done. And I do know that maybe somebody on our very program, maybe on Wednesdays, maybe was presented with all kinds of hurdles to write a book about Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning had a book coming out at the same time. Perhaps some people didn't want to talk to him because of said hurdles. So aware of their image, that is the understatement of the history of offthehooksports.com. They are more aware of their image than anybody in the history of sports, perhaps. Other than who I think they rank right up there with Kobe and trying to. I
would have thought Michael was the one who
Jordan did too.
Jordan put together the most and Jordan and Magic Johnson put together the most crafted images. You probably remember now Magic's came tumbling down with his announcement in 1991, but before that he put on an image, didn't he? Very much.
Hey, now Kalen has another point. Yeah, I do think they care about their image, but can I get back to the game for a second? Kalen says, I think he knows his stats on the game won't be what he wants, and he doesn't want the Manning name having a low stat level on the game. It's immature, if you ask me. It is immature, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. What if he's like a big 68, Caleb? That's not crazy.
I promise you, Dave, Kalen is not my burner account. because that's a conspiracy. Kaylin, you think like me, and I didn't even think of that one. That's a good one. Doesn't want the low ratings. Oh my gosh.
I think that's actually more likely than the business that I came up with and the PR virtue.
That's like
that he just doesn't want to be a 68.
That's a very whatever we think of him, that's a very Trumpy move. Like when Trump said he's 6'3", 215. Like when he said like he wouldn't want to be in an NBA game because he wouldn't want them to list his actual measurables. So like that wow, I could see that.
All right. Well, the Mannings are the Mannings.